Hello and welcome to the TTI Distribution Download, the podcast where we talk about all things happening in the world of electronic components with the specialists of TTI. And now, your host for the TTI Distribution Download, Paula Renfro.
Thanks, Jim. Hey, everybody. Thanks for plugging into the TTI Distribution Download today. Today, we're catching up with Gabe Osorio of TTI's Transportation Business Unit. Hey, Gabe. Appreciate you being here today.
Hey, Paula. Always great to be with you.
Gabe, it's fun having you in the booth always. And today, we have a special treat of being joined by your friend and mine, Brian Dickerson, also of TTI's Transportation Business Unit. Welcome, Brian.
Thanks, Paul. I'm happy to be in the booth with you today.
Tell us a little bit about your career journey prior to joining TTI TBU, Brian.
Yeah, sure. So I live and was born and raised in Michigan, so the heart of the automotive and transportation industry. Started as an inside sales rep in 1995. Been a field sales rep, an OEM sales manager, managed various sales engineering groups, and here I am at TTI. I've been here, it'll be 7 years this month.
Wow. Well, congratulations. And I know that we are the beneficiaries of having you and our customers, of course.
It's a great place to be.
Gabe, it's been a few episodes since we introduced our listeners to you and your business unit or y'all's business unit. How about we start off today, just reminding with, what you guys do up there in Ohio and Michigan and, what makes TTI TBU special?
Absolutely, yeah. First, I'd start off by just saying, I've worked for and with Brian for the better part of 15 years now. And not
it's
only...
a bromance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So learned a lot from him and was a sales engineer on his team on the West Coast for 4 years here at TTI. And now have the pleasure of working alongside with him and managing these teams on the transportation team. So my role specifically as Director of Transportation Marketing in the Americas is to manage, a team of sales specialists and an associate product marketing manager who really this team supports our branches and our local sales, local sales forces. With focused transportation suppliers. So think very specifically automotive and commercial vehicle interconnect suppliers on our line card. And the team does everything from support pricing, technical support. My associate marketing manager does trade show management for us in all the trade show participations that we do, marketing efforts along with your team, and data analytics and a whole lot more that we get into during that. I focus on supplier engagement, the development of those suppliers, and marketing for transportation-focused product or product families that almost all of the suppliers on our line card have some sort of product geared or a business unit for transportation. So we engage with all of them. And then I, along with Brian, lead our electrification strategy and the programs that we put together to support that and to bring value to the EV market space as well, too. So we do quite a bit, and that's kind of condensing a lot into just a few statements, I would say.
Yes.
So,
Brian, tell us about your role.
Okay, well, first off, for transportation, one thing I like to say is for transportation at TTI, if it moves or floats outside of Mill Arrow, it's probably a transportation customer. So, and our value prop, and it's very important to Gabe and I, is we're trying to be the preferred partner for our suppliers and customers for all things transportation. Transportation is about 32% of TTI's business globally, so it's a very important vertical segment to TTI, and we've certainly invested and continue to invest in it. For my role, I manage a team of regional sales engineers with a strong transportation and technical sales background. And really, we support our field sales organization, and we try to bring value as much as possible to our customers, both internal and external. We support everything from tactical information like data, drawings, specification, interpreting drawings and specification, making product recommendations, understanding our customers' applications. So we help them uncover opportunities. We support them from what I like to say from cradle to grave, from the design, from concept, from component selection, from sustained engineering, aftermarket service, and then end of life. So we're able to support all functions of that. I also have a global account manager on my team that manages our largest wire harness customers. So there's a unique unique set of business practices that those wire harness manufacturers implement and maintain, and we certainly have a lot of level of expertise supporting their needs in the marketplace. So from the front end, the regional sales engineers help with our field sales to get it designed in, and then our global account manager can track down that business, make sure that we have product on the shelves available for when our customers need it to get their product out.
Yeah, to help to make that transition from engineering to, oftentimes, is this accurate? How I understand it, especially in wiring harness, from design with the OEM to a contract manufacturer who specializes.
Yep, and
so
we
you help make that transition.
Absolutely, and then if you throw in the device manufacturer too, right? So the device manufacturers always have a component or a connector on there, so it's really three different parties making the end product, and so we're able to provide a level of expertise to all of those partners in the supply chain.
Get that inventory where it needs to
That's
be.
exactly, at the end of the day, making sure we got the right product on the shelf and get it to our customers when they need it.
Great, thank you. That's very, very good description. Thank you both. So last time you were here, Gabe, and I'm going to tell a little bit later that Brian was here with us too. We just couldn't get him to lean into the mic. You were looking forward to going to the ACT Expo in Vegas.
That's right.
And that's the Advanced Clean Transportation Expo. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
and you
exactly
both
right.
Went, I assume.
We did.
Yeah.
We did. It was a great show.
Oh, good. Tell us what was fun.
Yeah,
it
took place in Las Vegas this year. Typically, it had been in Southern California. This was the first time the show moved to Las Vegas. There were over 12,000 attendees and over 422 exhibitors this year. And I think from my perspective, one of the major takeaways that there's still, obviously it's the Advanced Clean Transportation Expo, so you're going to have an expectation of electrification being heavily part of or present at the show. But what I found interesting was a big focus on two things. One, alternative energy, so expanding outside of traditional electrification, looking at hydrogen fuel cells, natural gas, so really looking at the fuel cell side of alternative energy, as well as some solar guys that were there as well too. So kind of interesting because we talked solar cars last time and some of those kind of interesting things that we're starting to see. And then
didn't we say solar cars last time? There was a lot of heavy lifting.
There is.
So you saw some progress?
What I saw there is, again, geared towards commercial vehicles. So think, again, as I think I mentioned last time, trailers. So lots of space footprint on top of that trailer for solar panels to live, and then space underneath that trailer for the infrastructure to store the energy, right? Okay. And have it support either auxiliary power for the trailer or like a reefer or something like that would also be on the trailer. So that there was definitely that present. And then the other is a lot more infrastructure companies exhibiting at this show, and battery pack companies. And the reason being more onshoring taking place. So many of these customers that we talked to were working on establishing localized supply chains, manufacturing facilities in the United States, California, Midwest primarily, a lot of the Midwest, and Southeast belt, so like the Carolinas and Georgia kind of area. So that was really interesting, and definitely saw a lot of that. So a lot of great conversation took place there. Brian, I don't know.
I agree with you. I think one thing that stood out to me was we've all seen the EV markets falling off a little bit, right? Yeah, and there's a lot of challenges. Certainly infrastructure, the grid. There's a lot of apprehension by the consumer out there. But at the end of the day, there was a lot of positive energy at this show. There was a lot of booths, a lot of exhibits, a lot of great conversation, and really a lot of enthusiasm that it made me feel like, okay, yeah, the EV market's here to stay. And what's really nice is I know that TTI, we're going to be a part of it. So.
Yeah.
I think what it really reinforced was that electrification in commercial vehicles is where we see the immediate future and probably growth for electrification. I think for standard passenger cars and that kind of thing, it's going to take a little while still, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
So last mile delivery trucks.
Yeah,
I mean, we know
that was a big one.
Right. The FedEx trucks and the UPS and the delivery trucks.
Yeah, we have the Amazon full electric Sprinter type, vans in our neighborhood, and that's fun.
Yeah,
we always get excited when we don't hear them back up.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we've talked several times, Gabe and I, about range anxiety, and I drive a hybrid and have for a long time, and lean in, and I've asked other fans of electric vehicles. Well, why don't you have one? And they say that range anxiety. Well, we rented one, and I experienced it, and it's real.
Yeah.
It's real. I thought, but how far are you going to go? Is it, really all that? It is.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
When you roll in and you have 11%, maybe that's a lot, but it didn't feel like a lot. So so it's real.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed, continued growth.
Yeah.
In commercial vehicles, and that'll make a difference in our world.
Absolutely.
I think so too. Yeah, I think we were encouraged, like Brian said, about what we saw there and what the future holds for this market. And, we had a lot of great engagement. We met with more than 60 customers while we were there, and that includes OEMs and device manufacturers. And then,
so anybody who's anybody's is showing up now at the ACT Expo.
That's right.
That's every other year?
No, that's every year.
This
one's every year.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So it's a good one.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I guess we've been doing this quite that long.
You're right.
Yes.
That's right.
Cool. So while you're out and about, I know also TBU and TTI have the privilege of being involved in Formula E racing. I think we talked about that a little bit in the past. And I heard, though, you had a recent up-close encounter, and talk to us about that.
Yeah, we did. We have the great opportunity, TTI, Mauser, and a couple of our partner suppliers are sponsors of the DS Penske Formula E race team. So we had the great pleasure and opportunity of heading out to Portland, Oregon over the weekend of June 29th and 30th and hosted almost 300 invited guests from TTI that were customers, suppliers, and hosted them over the 2 race days. And if you've ever had the opportunity, I think, to see or watch a Formula E race, whether it's on TV or in person, I highly recommend in person. It's very different. Is it quiet? It's very weird. I tried to prepare. This was Brian's first race. Yeah. I tried to prepare him in that, he's been to a lot of different races and things like that. This will be nothing like that. It's quiet.
It's really not.
It's short, and it's...
because it's batteries.
Yeah, so it's only about 35 to 50 laps depending on the racetrack. And they literally play music the whole time because you don't hear... I mean, that's like dance music or some kind of electronic...
Some high energy.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But, for the, 10 seconds or so that the cars come by you in the grandstand, it sounds like Star Wars, fighters coming.
That's exactly.
Is that more like air displacement?
There's a distinct high pitch whiny thing that's up there. Yeah, so it's pretty. I don't know, Brian. What were your takeaways?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, I've been to NASCAR, I've been to Indy 500, Formula One, and I love the sound of those. So it was very interesting to have a quiet Formula E race, but it was good, and it was very professional, and it was fun, and it was great to be a part of it and see our own team out there doing very well.
They did. They had a great weekend. Jean-Eric Vernet is one of our drivers, as well as Stoffel Van Doorn. And Jean-Eric placed on the pole or in the podium on Saturday, finished in third place. So we got to see him up on the podium, which was really cool. And both guys are doing pretty good so far this season. I think out of 20 drivers, Eric is in the 6th position for the season, and Stoffel is in 10th position. So overall, doing pretty good. And it was a lot of fun. Next year's race is going to be in Miami, so we'll see how different that is for the race cars themselves. But
so you expect them to go just a little bit further, a little bit faster?
I don't know, because I think heat might actually impact batteries, but I don't. At this level, it's hard to tell if that's how much of an impact they really have. I mean,
how fast do they go? Do they need to?
That's
go
a great
faster?
question. They can. So Portland is a really interesting one because it's actually the only race in the entire series that is on an actual racetrack. Everything else, is kind of very similar to Formula, where you would set up a racetrack through cities.
Street track.
Yeah, exactly. And our team globally does attend races in Sao Paulo, in Italy, in London.
Rome.
Yeah, Rome, exactly. And unfortunately, we haven't had that
means like
opportunity.
Formula One and racing, for instance. We're race fans in our house also.
Yeah.
Much of the Formula E series is in Europe and
That's right.
Yes.
Okay.
And Asia as well,
And
too.
Asia as
And
well.
yep, it follows a lot of the same circuits that Formula
But they
One
don't
does.
use the track so much.
Correct.
Oh.
But
it is on CBS Sportsline.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like to.
But
We could watch it, but not
But this
listen.
Portland track, they do reach 200 miles an hour and can
Oh,
crest
they
it.
do.
So it's
Wow.
definitely one of their fastest ones. And the strategy is completely different. They talk a lot about pelotoning, where it's actually not great to be in pole position at this track because you end up using more of your battery, breaking clean air or dirty air. So a lot of the guys tend to want to be in that second, third,
We called it
fourth.
drafting back in,
Stock car,
regular
NASCAR.
stock car racing.
Yeah,
We call
absolutely.
It's pelotoning.
Pelotoning is what they refer to.
I had the opportunity to
interesting.
meet with Jay Penske. That
Yeah?
day, and that's what he said. It's going to be a Peloton race. So,
Okay. Now I'm following that analogy better. Penske, yeah. So, I mean, of course, you would expect them to be involved in any kind, but still Formula E electric race car.
That's
What
right.
are some other car teams, sponsors that I might recognize?
McLaren has a team.
McLaren's got a
Nissan
team,
has
too.
a team. Porsche has a team. I mean, there's
It's the regular
many of the
guys,
same.
regular
Yeah,
suspects.
Yes,
the
yeah,
usual
exactly.
suspects.
Yes.
exactly. But think
I bet
about
that was fun.
the cool thing is a lot of those teams are taking this technology and then they bring it to commercial applications, right? So battery pack technology, inverter technology, and onboard charging technology has developed so much over the course of 3 to 4 years in Formula E that it used to take 2 cars to complete a race, 2 race cars, that is.
Yeah.
They would actually change in mid-race, and now it's just 1 car. So it's progressed that much. They've become that much more efficient, more charging, more energy storage capability with the battery pack. So a lot of the technology that's learned there trickles its way into the marketplace through the car manufacturers as well too, which is really
A
interesting.
a little bit the same with the other racing venues in terms of testing the limits
Performance,
of engineering
yep.
and performance and
Yeah. So it's very interesting. But overall, it was a great experience, and we certainly look forward
Great
to
event. It was great to have customers there.
Yep.
Our colleagues out in Portland, suppliers. It was great. It was a great event.
And next year's Miami.
Next year's Miami. There's 2 more races left in the season. Definitely look it up and check it out. It's
2 more
actually
races
a lot of fun.
in Oregon.
No, 2 more in London.
in
So they
Lon-
finish
okay,
out in
yes,
London this
yeah,
year.
right.
Yep. But it's a doubleheader, so 1 Saturday, 1 Sunday.
Okay, well your phone will be ringing for this time next year
For Miami, yeah,
Sure, it'll probably
exactly.
start ringing now.
Yep.
So I think I mentioned to you guys earlier that we were chatting with Dennis Reed with Edgewater Research. And he always talks just a little bit, about breaking down the previous quarter, especially. Talked a little bit about what was going on in automotive and transportation. Do you guys see anything happen in the last quarter, last half a year? Really that you see going to play out in the rest of this year?
Yeah, I think so. In fact, there was just a report put out by Volvo that for Class 8, we have a lot of business with Class 8 trucks, and there's some EPA regulations that are going to be coming into effect in 2027, and the pre-buy is starting now because of the cost of the truck, because of the EPA regulations will go up by $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. So fleets will put their orders in now, starting now, and up over the next 18 months to get ahead of those EPA regulations. So that's good for our business.
They'll be in line. Yeah. Going to lead to any kind of, I always like to ask this question. I don't like for it to happen. Going to lead to any kind of shortages. We need to give our engineering partners and our purchasing partners a heads up.
It certainly has that potential depending on how big
I've been
the
asking
rush
that question
is.
for all year in here.
Yeah,
Now's
well,
the right time.
there's no writing on the wall yet,
Okay.
right? But if we look historically at these cyclical events when new EPA regulations take place, which seem to happen 7 to 10 years roughly, it does lead to added pressure to the supply chain, certainly for a lot of commonly used components, and which does ultimately lead to some supply chain constraints, allocations, that kind of thing.
Will they be able to retrofit? Is this a retrofittable?
In some instances, yeah. In some, no.
Okay,
So it'll be
no. Thus, the pre-buy they have their fleets completely changed over by then.
Yep. The good thing is Brian and his team, the entire transportation team in general, are watching all of this very closely, and will certainly plan ahead, especially on our most commonly used parts for commercial vehicles, and make sure that, as usual, that TTI is in a good position from an inventory perspective, and working with our suppliers to ensure that kind of supply chain consistency for those parts as much as
Is this a
possible.
situation where it would be smart for our customer partners to begin second sourcing, be thinking about as they go forward? Are these components the kind that if you have more than one source?
Potentially. Yeah. In some cases, there's not. When you
exercise all those kinds of
and that's what we're here to help them do. And then from a passenger car perspective, I think it's going to be flattening out even more. The OEMs have a lot of inventory on the parking lots, so it's that's going to be flattening out from the past car.
Yeah, I just read a report.
So you see that continuing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
and we said about EV already, right?
Yeah.
Soft. It's just going to remain soft. Passenger.
But I think it's passenger cars the whole.
Just passenger.
Yeah, I think the statistic was close to 3 million cars on lots right now, which is the highest in more than a decade, I think.
It has been such a ride.
Yeah.
These last 3 or 4 years. Yeah. For just a couple of years ago, the car lots, automotive lots were
empty,
skinny to empty, right?
Or you had cars parked in a lot off
but
site
that's how that
with
works,
no
right?
parts. Yeah,
that's how it works. And
that's how that supply chain thing works.
Yeah, prices will start to come down on these cars. Which is good.
Us. Yeah, which is good for the consumer. Yeah.
Well, it's been fun. I knew it was going to be. Thank you, Brian.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Thanks for coming.
And thank you, Gabe. I learned something today from you, as I always do.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And I already slipped a little side note that it was fun having you lean into the mic, and Brian, and I hope you'll come and and do that again.
We're gonna spin off his own series.
Right.
I got to start getting my DJ voice going.
That's right. We're gonna spin off his own series. So thanks today to our listeners for plugging in. And if you learned something today, like I did, you can learn more from Gabe and other TTI subject matter experts at tti.com/market-on.
That's it for this episode of the TTI Distribution Download. For more information on any of the topics you heard about today, reach out to your nearby TTI branch at 1-800-CALL-TTI or visit us online at tti.com.